We go out there and we do the work for the Republican Party to make sure that the principles of smaller government, lower taxes, the elimination of corruption, and the protection of individual liberties are represented and talked about every single day. We do that because we feel a special obligation to our country. Many of you know, first of all, I want to see how many have seen the commercial on cable. Anybody? Uh-oh, that's it, I'm canceling it. Yeah, we're running the cable commercial for the re-election to Cook County Board. And many of you know already, without that I came to the United States of America as a young orphan at the age of 13. And but for the grace of God and with the great assistance of this great country, I have been able to finish high school while working full-time through high school, finish college with the Illinois State Scholarship and BOG grants while working full-time, finish law school with the assistance of federally guaranteed student loans while working full-time. And I ran for the position of Cook County Commissioner because I felt that this is the level of government where the rubber meets the road, where you really can help the people and to the greatest degree possible. And because the western suburbs were known for decades as one of the most corrupt parts of Cook County, which is one of the corrupt counties in the most corrupt state in the country right now. Now, all of you know that that is not an easy task. And I have taken a lot of barbs for it, and I've taken a lot of attacks for it. And you know, last May, my neighbor's house was shot up with 7 bullets, which the police believe were aimed at our home. So this is not an easy task to do, but I do it because I believe passionately that our country is worth fighting for, and in fact worth dying for. This is a special place on the planet. This is a place that is an example to all the other budding democracies around the world. We cannot take what we have here for granted because we may lose it. We need to stand up for our rights. They're protected under the United States Constitution, because if we don't exercise those rights and advocate those rights, we are bound to lose them. So I take that responsibility personally, professionally, and in an everyday kind of fashion, because I believe that democracy, in fact, can work if good men and women stand up and engage in self-government and participate in elections and provide leadership in communities that have none. We have had here in Illinois for too long dynasties, the Daleys, the Madigans, the Lipinskis, the Hineses, the Strogers, the Zalewskis, the on and on and on, who hand over public offices to their offspring like it was part of their estate that they inherited from their parents. When is that going to stop? How are we going to provide an example to the rest of the world when we engage in that kind of nepotism, kleptocracy, plutocracy, and all kinds of abuse of citizens' constitutional rights? Where the sleight of hand is the norm, where they wait until the deadline is over for people to file so they can sneak in their offsprings into office and give them careers that they've had at the pleasure of the taxpayers and the voters. We need to make sure that the western suburbs are an example for the rest of the county. We need to make sure that the Republican principles, God, country, liberty, family, individual responsibility, are protected, that we are not taxed to death each and every year. Right now, the state of Illinois takes, along with the federal and local governments, 1/2 of our total gross earnings. 50% of everything that we make goes to be paid in taxes, whether real estate sales tax or any other tax. How much more can we afford to pay? How much more can senior citizens pay in real estate tax bills and sales taxes to provide for the graft and corruption and theft by Mayor Daley and Todd Stroger and his cronies? How much more can we afford to pay? And who's going to say enough? Well, it's not a pleasant task, and often I stand alone on that county board. But when I ran in 2002, I told all of you that I was going to go there to the county board to represent you. Not my personal interest, not the interest of any special group or organized party or anybody else. There are good and bad people on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has a monopoly on virtue. We have seen both parties' members go to jail for corruption. But when I go to that board, I represent the taxpayers and voters of the western suburbs. So even when a Republican, like last week happened, Tim Schneider, the Republican committeeman from Hoffman Township, who represents that northwest corner of Cook County, had his and his family's golf course sold to the Cook County Board of Forest Preserve for $6 million while he sits on the County Board of Forest Preserve as a commissioner. Now think about that for a moment. If that isn't conflict of interest, I don't know what is. But that's what happens. I was the only Republican to vote no. There were 4 Democrats who joined me in voting no. The vote was 10-5, and Mr. Schneider and his family, Commissioner Schneider and his family, are going to get $6 million as the County Forest Preserve buys their golf course. And I asked the County Board of Commissioners during the debate before the roll call, I says, can you imagine for a moment if this was the Peraica Family Land Trust and I was trying to sell the property to the Forest Preserve District of Cook County, I couldn't even get a second to get it on the floor for a debate. I wouldn't get any votes. But here is a Republican selling the county's, his golf course for $6 million, and the vote is 10-5, and all my Republican colleagues looked down in shame and voted yes. The 4 notes with me were Beavers, Claypool, Collins, and Steele. So nobody has a monopoly on virtue, ladies and gentlemen. I am there to represent your interests. And as you know, in Cook County, politics is a bloody, messy process. It's a war. And there are sometimes even casualties in a war. So you have 2 choices. You can go along for the ride and be corrupt, even if you're just a little corrupt. And I always say you can't be a little bit pregnant. You know, you're either corrupt or you're not corrupt. Or you can represent the taxpayers and what's in everyone's best interest, what is in the public interest, and do the right thing even when I'm the only no vote on that county board, and that happens more often than I care to admit. But even with that opposition, we have been able to do a lot for the western suburbs, and I just want to give you a couple of examples, as I'm sure you already know. After 4 years of opposition, we were able to get the Cermak Pool rebuilt, a $5 million project that took that WPA defunct facility, and we rebuilt it to a Cermak Family Aquatic Center that's been used by thousands of kids and families now for the last couple of years. And that's what we worked for, and that's what we got.